She got promoted into the Office of Inspector General. And then she was part of overseeing other fraud. And then the current acting commissioner, she used to be for 4 years the head of compliance. And the old Inspector General got promoted into the General Counsel's office. Like literally, it's all these same people who've known what's been going on, and they just keep getting rearranged. So there's zero accountability. No one's been fired, and we've been calling for it. So he has turned a blind eye, and then just in the last, maybe 4 or 5 months since the feds got involved and they're starting to highlight all these cases of fraud and shutting down programs, now he's starting to worry because it's an election year, and he said he's going to pause things for 90 days on 14 programs. Well, honestly, I guess good for him, but it's so too little too late. And there's been no sense of actually changing how these programs are administered. And that's what we need a governor to get into, which I will do because I know exactly where the problems are. Yes, ma'am.
Minnesota is one of 9 states in the country that charges tax on Social Security. What are your plans for that?
So I'm the chief author of the bill to eliminate the tax on Social Security in Minnesota. I've fought for it for years, and one of the former representatives up here, Dave Listlegard, had a similar bill. And so when the Democrats had control, I even offered Dave's bill. I'm like, here, we don't have to have a Republican bill. Let's offer the Democrat bill. And they still wouldn't vote for it. They want tax increases. And this is a contrast with me and some of my colleagues who are running, and you'll be meeting all of them, I'm sure. But this last session, when we had the speaker and we had a tie in the House, we had the chance to undo some of this stuff, but instead, the deal that was struck, which I was one of only 3 to vote against, increased taxes on marijuana, which, I could care less about marijuana, I led the fight against it. But the problem is, we don't need more money going into the state coffers. We need less money for them to spend. So we shouldn't be adding money in there by tax increases, especially when we as a Republican caucus said we weren't going to raise any taxes. And then secondly, on crime, without any hearings, literally out of left field, no bill, no hearings, they close the Stillwater prison. And that is a public safety issue, because we now are going to have 1,200 less beds in the prison system in Minnesota, and they have no plan for replacing them. And I represent Hennepin County, and you've seen this movie in Hennepin County. What they did about 7 years ago is they closed the juvenile home school in Hennepin County, saying, oh, someday we'll replace it, this was old and outdated and we need a better juvenile home school. So then they didn't do anything about it, and now our prosecutor says, well, we can't prosecute juveniles in Hennepin County because we have nowhere to put them. And they stopped prosecuting juveniles in Hennepin County 4 years ago. And crime is out of control. And so for there to have been a deal with Tim Walz to raise taxes and to close Stillwater Prison without a plan for how we're going to recreate those 1,200 beds is not conservative, and it's not helping Minnesota on crime, and it's not helping us get our fiscal health in order. So that's a very key distinction, just to keep in mind with the other candidates, because I stood up for all of us, and I was one of 3 people who voted no on both of those things, and most people went along with it. Yes, sir.
Hey, my name is Adam Becker, and I'm a recent walkaway, I'd say. Kind of just in the past few months have had my eyes open to a number of things, and it's just been shocking. One of the things that happened was while I was working at Duluth Public School, and I was doing a professional development day as a paraprofessional, and had 2 course leaders teaching us as teachers and paraprofessionals about a concept called gender mapping. And it's where you make a coordinate plane, like an x-axis and a y-axis, and label 1 male and 1 female, and then number it 1 to 10 on both sides, and then you check in with yourself and say, how male am I right now? And how female am I right now? And you put this on the map, and then they said that we could start teaching this to children as young as kindergarten. And
Oh my gosh.
at that point, so I have 3 young daughters,
Yeah.
and I was like, there is no way in hell they are going to go to school here in Duluth if that's happening. And I started just seeing more of, regular drag queen story time hour at public library, and all these things where I'm like, we're taxpayers, but we're not being represented because we don't even want to send our kids in the public anymore. And so I was able to do an interview with Liz Collin with Alpha News, and that was awesome. It got the word out about a lot of that. But seriously, zero from the school. Nobody wanted to get a hold of me or talk to me. There's no conversation about it. And I was just curious if you have any plans for addressing these superintendents, these people that are allowing this to go on. Yeah, I don't even know if they know how much is going on with the teachers. Yeah.
Right, no, I thank you for sharing that, and thank you for standing up for your family and for all of our kids. And I completely agree. I mean, biology is real, and we have to get back to telling the truth to our kids. There are boys and girls, and you cannot change your gender identity. You cannot. And we are hurting our kids by feeding them these lies. And so, on the policy front, what we need to do is change the state standards dealing with human sexuality, which pushes this garbage, and get back to either not teaching sexuality at all. When we talk about biology, teach the facts of biology, but then we also need to hold schools accountable. And so, if schools continue to persist in this, and their local school boards are supporting it, well, then maybe we'll have to look at how much state funding they get, or pulling some categories of state funding. But we absolutely have to tell our kids the truth, and we have to protect them. And so I don't support boys and girls sports. I do not support the transgender transition for hormones or for surgeries for minors. And, if I was queen, I would say all the way up to 25 or higher, but I think the cutoff legally will probably be 18 if we can get that done. But these things are so important. I was just sharing with, I don't know where he is, Scott, the student here. Oh, hey, Scott. Just want you guys to know, this Scott is a wonderful young man. He's the head of college Republicans at UMD, and he is fantastic. So he is in this fight every day at UMD, and we need to support our young people. So thank you for being here, Scott. But just to finish that thought, so we need to make sure that our kids are protected. And I just shared with Scott a study I saw that came out today or yesterday about how transgenderism has fallen off a cliff since 2023. It's like the social contagion has peaked, and now it's a huge drop. Kids are smarter than we give them credit for sometimes, and they know this is a lie. And we have to support our kids by telling them, sorry, that was a lie that you were fed, and you don't have to believe this anymore. And support our kids, because transgenderism has just hit an absolute decline, which is a blessing. So.
I have a similar situation. A relative of mine is a Duluth police officer, and he works at one of the high schools. And in his cubicle, small office, he had a thin blue line flag, which represents, police officers, respect for police. Well, one of the teachers saw that flag and was offended by it, and talked to the principal. The principal made him take it down because his teacher was offended by it. She said it was racist.
Oh my gosh.
But the same teacher has a pride flag and a Black Lives Matter flag in her classroom. So
Why do we even listen to it?
that's what the problem is these teachers are pushing their agenda way too far.
Right, and I do think that's happening, and that's where we need local school boards to step in and hold people accountable for what they want taught in their communities. Yes, go ahead, Mac.
Just to stay on this topic, and this might be a little too in the weeds, but so it was just this year, I believe, that the standard changed that Minnesota has to teach the national health standard called SHAPE. So it used to be that the health standard was covered by school board. Like, they pick the health curriculum. And when our rogue gym teachers decided to teach, you know, gender craziness, in our school, our superintendent was able to stop it, but now it's in the actual standard, they have to teach gender identity. And that's an every 10-year change, is my understanding, but do you know, as a governor, can you make that not every 10-year curriculum change?
So my understanding, I'm surprised, because I thought the health standard was still under review and it was coming up this coming session, but I could be wrong, looking for Marissa, and she knows off the top of her head. But yes, right now, everything's on a rolling 10-year review, so we would have to get a change in statute to update that because it's in law.
Okay, well then our school is lying to us and telling us it's now a national standard.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the link with the national standard. I don't serve on the education committee, but I would learn this stuff and I would figure it out. But absolutely, as governor, you do have latitude, and so I would take as much latitude as I have under the law, and then I would work with the legislature to make the review of certain of the especially problematic curriculums like the health and the biology, and get it
Because
fixed
those of us
faster.
are in red districts, I
Right.
don't want to follow the bad laws passed by the metro.
Exactly. No, exactly. And we have locally elected school boards for a reason. Like, to me, these statewide standards, really, we should do as little of that as possible to ensure achievement only. And the rest of it should be at the local community discretion. That's why we have locally elected officials. And the closer we get power to people in their communities, the more, the stronger we make democracy, because we are a government of the people, by the people, and the more power goes up, the more we are harming, like, the fabric of democracy. We need people who are in their communities working together to be the bolder. There was a hand over here, yes, ma'am.
How is it that Walls has so much power? He isn't doing this all by himself. What about these Democrats that are backing him?
Yeah, they back him 100%. So in the 2023 session, they had full control of the governor, the House, and the Senate. That's when all these ridiculous things passed. Because before, pre-2023, the Senate was Republican, and so that was a little bit of a backstop. And this past session, the House was tied, so that was a little bit of a backstop. But what we need is for us to have the House, the Senate, and the governor's office, and then we can change this stuff. So that's what I'm working for, and if I'm governor, we will have the coattails. We're so close, you guys. We are one vote shy in the Senate of flipping control, and we are tied in the House. So we really work hard. We can get the governor and the House and Senate. People think Minnesota's a blue state. It is not. It is knife's edge from turning red. We can do that, but we gotta turn out, we gotta work hard. You guys gotta back Natalie, we need her, she's such a great leader. And we need to get the Senate seat up here flipped, up here, that House child seat, we need to flip that red. That could be the ballgame, winning the Senate. I mean, you guys can do this, okay? And that's what it's gonna take. It's all of you here tonight. I'm honestly so encouraged to see all this level of turnout, because some of the meetings I go to, it's like half this size. So you guys are already high achievers, and we just need to engage everyone, book clubs, churches, parent groups, senior groups, registering new people to vote at the U, which we talked about today, at UMD. Like, this is so within our grasp, and people do not want Tim Walz. The re-elect numbers for him in the polls, nobody wants him, even Democrats don't want him to have a third term. This is a historic opportunity. So the people are with us on all these issues we've been talking about. It's great for us. Minnesotans are tired of these radical policies. They just want government to work for them again, and we can make that happen this session. We really can. Yes, ma'am.
I was just gonna ask, about term limits. What can we do to have term limits?
You know, I have to say it's a mixed bag. And I used to be like hardcore no on term limits, and now I'm more open to it. But here's the reality. Like, I'm in my 4th term, and it takes a while as a member to learn the issues, to become good at debating, to be ready to really take on some of these big issues. And if we have term limits, I at least think they should be like for 10 years or something. Because otherwise, right now, to be honest, the staff makes a lot of important decisions. They're unelected, and we are too staff dependent. And if we have term limits, we will only become more staff dependent. And people will say, oh, I can wait out that member. They're gonna be gone next year, right? And so I think thinking about democracy and the importance of elected officials being responsible for their vote, not unelected staff or bureaucrats, I think we have to be careful about term limits. But if we do it, I think it has to be like a longer term.
Like part 2, can we have it for the governor but not the rest?
Yeah, I would be for a 2-term limit on the governor. I would be for that.
Okay.
Like, honestly, it's a tough job. I think he's burned out. I think the public is way burned out on him, right? So I absolutely would support it for the governor. I'm not sure I would for the legislature.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think of the local, reaction to term limits is House District 3B had Mary Murphy.
Oh,
Adia
I know. Yes, I remember Mary.
46 years.
Yes.
And she just won for 46 years.
Right.
Oh.
But then Natalie came and you guys beat her.
So then we got Natalie with 33 votes.
Yeah.
She beat Mary Murphy. And then 160 votes, she
Yeah.
beat Mary Murphy. But I think that in my conversation.
Mark Munder.
Yes.
It was still M&M.
That was still close. Too close.
Yeah.
Mary Murphy and Mark Munder. But I think that when we talk about term limits, like Mary Murphy is the one extreme. And I think of Natalie, like if she had only had 4 years, if there had been, you know, like a terrible term limit of only 2 terms, the amount that she's been able to accomplish, you know, exponentially just from what she learned the first term, what she's been able to actually accomplish the second term with a split legislature versus, you know, being in the minority. I think that you have to be careful.
No, I totally agree. And Natalie's a perfect example. She's so smart and she's so hardworking. And to watch her grow over these terms, like she is just hitting her stride, and we love this woman and we need her. She is a leader in the caucus on healthcare, on statewide issues. So I would hate for her to not have several more terms under her belt. We need her, okay? Yeah. There was another hand somewhere over here. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, my question is really simple, and you started to answer it a little while ago, and that is, what can we do to help you?
Yep. The most important thing in the short run, honestly, is to follow me on social media and share and like my posts, because I have a lot of followers like in the Twin Cities area, but I need to grow my followers statewide, so that really helps the algorithm think more people up here will like me if you share it and your network share it and all of that. And then obviously, we need financial support, because I don't have as much name ID as some of my fellow candidates, just because I've never run statewide before. So you can buy name ID by doing social media boosting and by putting ads on YouTube and Hulu and all these things. So we haven't spent any real money yet, but eventually I'm gonna need to spend money to build up my name ID. And then finally, it's really the grassroots guys. Like, I'm from the grassroots. I've been a delegate since I was in college. I was in College Republicans back in the day when I was at Bethel. And I've been vice chair of my PPOU. I've been a precinct captain. Like, it's that grassroots work, inviting your neighbors to go to caucus, you guys going to caucus, telling your book clubs or your church people, you know, creating more opportunities to speak for candidates. Like, people are so sick of walls. They really are. All the polling shows it, but they don't know what to do. So we have to get people who are not normally political to be like, yep, but we can change this, and have them feel empowered and have them know, like, they can help us take the state back. It's not me taking the state back, it's us taking our state back. That's what it is. Yes, sir.
In light of what you said earlier, pointing out that we have not been able to win a statewide election since 2006.
Yep.
And that was just one, after the state rate in 2002, if I recall, all of the statewide offices. Do you think that with our failure to crack that wall or ceiling, whatever you want to call it, in that length of time, do you think it's perhaps time to look a little differently at the endorsement process?
So I'm from the grassroots. I respect the endorsement process. I really do. I've always participated in it. I am working hard to win the endorsement right now. I go to any BPOU. My husband has spent a lot of time on the phone calling delegates and alternates. You probably talked to some of you or left messages for some of you. We really care about it. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is beating Tim Walz. So if I don't win the endorsement, and I still think I'm the best candidate to beat Tim Walz because of my background, because of my experience at the legislature, because I win in a tough suburban district all the time. If I still think I'm the best person, I'm gonna run in the primary. Because we need to beat Tim Walz. The goal is not to win the endorsement. The goal is to win the governor's race. And that's what we have to do.
I got a message from Natalie when I was on the way here, and she said she really wished she could be here, and I said I'd give her warm regards, everyone.
Oh, yeah, no, I talked to her yesterday. She told me she had something down in the cities, but she would love to have been here. And she loves you guys. She's like, you're with my people. I'm like, I know I love your people. So, yeah, she works so hard for you guys. You have to know. I'm sure you already know that, but she's amazing. Other questions about issues or things?
One quick question. I don't know if you could even answer it, but, you know, you had talked about how they were moving people around the fraud thing throughout the whole state, and kind of playing whack-a-mole.
Yes.
So, I don't understand how these people that had control of this are not being prosecuted for it. It's a crime. Why is that not happening?
So there are two ways you can hold people accountable. One is in their position in their job and firing them, which is Tim Walz's responsibility. The other way is through criminal prosecution in the courts, which is what the U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson and now the new U.S. Attorney Eddie Rosen are doing. And the threshold for criminal prosecution is very high, as it probably should be. And so far, we have not been able to tie individual agency people to the commission of the fraud. They've turned a blind eye to it, but they haven't committed the crime themselves. And that's why they're not being prosecuted. That's not to say we won't eventually find that, because we may, but at this point, we've seen no credible evidence of like an agency person getting a kickback or an agency person, you know, benefiting from the fraud. They just have ignored it, which means they should be fired, absolutely, and they should not be getting a pension for the next 20 years or whatever because they're state employees. But that's where Walz has failed. He has not held anyone accountable in the agencies for their failure to protect the taxpayer dollars. And I will completely change that. Yes?
And this is maybe not within your scope if you were on the ballot, but I know that last time when Scott Jensen was running against him, Walz could not have a debate with him unless it did not broadcast in the Metro and in Duluth. If you were on the ballot against Walz and he wants the same thing, what would you do?
I would show up at any debate and have his empty chair sitting there, put a picture of him on it, and just tell people what I think about issues. Because if he's too afraid to debate, he does not deserve to be governor. I would debate him anytime, any place.
I have a secret question and a follow-up comment. If you could have, so it's struggle. Say you're governor and, you know, you might have a Senate or House. But the leadership team, the statewide races, who would be your dream team in key positions across the state and also leading Senate and House? Because you've got a lot of great people in the race too, so I wonder if some of them, you find it as for them. So
Oh, I absolutely would try. So to your point, we have an embarrassment of riches on the Republican side. We have great people. And so I think it would have to really see how it shakes out with the numbers in the House and the Senate. Because if we have the majority, I wouldn't necessarily want to steal someone for the House or the Senate and ruin the majority.